Hi there, this is Nicole Spohr and welcome back to my channel. Today I am sharing a layered stencil background slimline card using new stamps and dies from the Mama Elephant November 2020 release. One of my favorite things to do for cards is to stencil a background. Not only does it help keep the background nice and flat, thus making it much easier to mail than lots of layers, but it also gives lots of dimension without layers. And layering stencils can be a super fun way to really add a bunch of interest to your finished scene. Today we're going to be using the new Up With Love stamp set and Big You Are Loved die. I'm also using this slim window dressing background. So this is a previously released die from Mama Elephant. I'm just using the background for it, and I'm masking off the edges from the stitching line to the scallop. This is automatically going to give the background a matted look without that extra layer or bulk. I like to use just a little post-it tape. You could use washi, something like that to create your mask. Then I'm going to take a cloud stencil. This one is from Lawn Fawn, and we are going to ink up a cloud background with some Tattered Rose Distress ink and a blending brush. I opted to use regular distress inks as opposed to Distress Oxides, can't talk, just because I really wanted it to be a little bit more distinct. I sometimes think oxides give a little bit more of that faded outlook just because of the nature of the oxide ink. So we're going to use the distress ink here, and we're going to do the entire cloudy background. We're just going to keep working our way up the panel with this stencil. It has 4 different cloud sides to it, and I'm just going to keep rotating it each section and adding the beautiful clouds. Now the clouds on their own is amazing, and I particularly love a cloud background that isn't a traditional blue. I also love blue cloud backgrounds. I use cloud stencils all the time in scene building. However, I think it's really fun to experiment with other colors. And in this case, where it's a love-themed card, I wanted to go with a pink-red color combination, and a pink background really sets off the images we're going to stamp and color here in a minute really, really nicely. Once we have finished this cloud background and we're all the way up at the top of our panel, we are going to add some hearts. And I love a large stencil for this, but you could also mix and match a smaller stencil if that's what you have. This stencil from Simon Says Stamp has been out for several months, and it continues to be one of my favorite stencils, but it is very oversized, as you can see. So it's going to be great if you're doing a home decor project or wall art or a scrapbook page, things like that. But I love it for cards. I think it's so beautiful. Now, we aren't even using a different ink color. We are going to go ahead and just stencil Tattered Rose right over our Tattered Rose clouds, but we're going to use a heavier hand so that we can kind of blend out any of those cloud lines that might be under, in each of these heart sections, but it gives you a beautiful tone-on-tone look where it looks like we have a cloudy background with beautiful stenciled hearts right on top of that. And I just love how it seamlessly goes together. It's going to look like these hearts are trailing up into the sky, and our cute little critters are floating with their heart balloons in the sky. To me, what you create for the background of your scene card makes such a huge difference in the finished look of the design. So for this, I really was working hard. While it's very simple, this is a very super simple technique, but it really completes the overall design in my opinion. You could even do some ink splatter or other things if you wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and remove my masks, and I noticed that I didn't get my top mask right where it needed to go. So I'm going to go back with my stencil and a little bit of masking paper. I'm just going to grab those again and fix that before I get too much further. I didn't notice that I didn't have my mask right up at the top. Then once we have that fixed, it is time to stamp and color our cute new images from Mama Elephant. This is the Up With Love stamp set. It's got a bear, a duck, a bunny, and a fox holding balloons. We have an individual balloon image and some individual hearts. I am actually not going to use the individual hearts and instead use some heart embellishments for my card, but we are going to stamp all the rest of the image. So that's going to be 5 images, and we have stamped these on Bristol Smooth cardstock with Lawn Fawn Jellyfish No Line Coloring ink, and we're coloring in our images with Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. These continue to be my favorite way to do a little no line coloring, very, very quick and easy. The balloons are actually all going to be the same color combination, which is geranium red and tea rose. I really felt like this color combination is kind of in line with the lighter tattered rose distress ink of our background, but bold, so it's going to show up. We're going to do a little similar coloring of our die cut sentiment, which very much inspired the colors I chose here. So the distress ink we'll be using for our die cut sentiment is what inspired this, because I wanted the balloons to stand out against the background but still kind of be within that color family, if that makes sense. Next, our bear is going to be colored with mid-brown, oatmeal, and pale pink for the pads of its feet, the insides of the ears, and the cheeks, but everything else on him is going to be mid-brown and oatmeal. I'm going slow with my coloring. I started with not very much mid-brown. I will go back and add additional mid-brown and then kind of blend that out as I'm working. Don't be afraid to add more color if you need to. I always like to err on the side of caution and start light and then work my way up. One of the great things about when you're using no line coloring ink and the zigs, I do think it's pretty easy to still see the face if you're coloring right away. I wouldn't let this sit and dry overnight and try to come back, because sometimes parts of the image, that ink starts fading a little bit. So I always like to kind of color it within the same time that I have stamped it, within an hour or two. I've also taken a fine tip black pen and we're going to draw in the balloon strings with that, and I'm even adding some little ties up at the top of the balloon. That is not part of the design, but I do like the look of a couple of little loops up there at the top. I will wait a minute before coloring in the face. I'm going to let the ink from the zig markers dry just a little bit before I go in and draw back in the eyes, nose, mouth, any of those things. For our bunny, we're going to be using mid-gray and gray tint with the pale pink for the insides of the ear and the cheeks and the pads of the feet, and even a little blender here and there. These little critters are so stinking cute. Mama Elephant does a fantastic job and does some of my favorite images that include balloons and critters. I don't know what it is, but I absolutely love them. And one of the other great things about this is these images, like the bear and the fox and the bunny especially, they have done quite a few stamp sets with these critters before, so you can mix and match with some of the stamp sets you already own to create completely new scene cards. Maybe you want to do a card with all bunnies. Mama Elephant has tons of great bunnies. Same thing goes for the bear or the fox. So I love that you can really get the mileage out of stamp sets that you already own. I did go back in, draw in those cute little eyes, and I purposely did his little pom-pom tail nice and light, so it's not completely colored in. Now that I know that I don't want to mix and do any other color of the heart balloons, I'm going to go ahead and color the rest with geranium red and tea rose. You can see I'm just doing a nice little outline with my geranium red, and then I'll go in with tea rose and working my way from the outside in. I will just kind of keep coloring to get that beautiful, nice shading. Now, my favorite image on this stamp set is probably that sweet little duck. I don't know what it is, but I think he's so, so cute. Duck or chick, I don't know. One of those. I'm going to use mustard to color him in, which is probably not a color I would normally use, but I'm going to tell you right now, that's what I'm going to use all the time. I really loved this. So it's mustard and a blender. Now, it doesn't look I mean, it looks cute, but once we go in with bright yellow and pale orange for the beak and the feet, I did start with yellow, which I hated, so I'm going to go over that with pale orange. I absolutely adored this cute little image. How sweet is he? I think that is so stinking cute. I absolutely love it. The fox, I'm using my favorite color combination for coloring foxes, and that is brown and light brown with a little blender as needed for the lighter areas. I'm going to just add all of our color here for this guy, and then we'll draw in the remaining balloon strings, face detail, all the little things like that, including doing some little loops on all the balloons. Then we're going to take the coordinating dies that come with this set, and you're getting all 5 of these dies that you see for these images, plus 3 heart dies that coordinate with the 3 hearts in the stamp set. So there is a die for everything here today. And then there is 7 sentiments in this set. That's a lot. And a lot of images and a lot of sentiments, so you can really mix and match. You're getting everything from "You Are Loved and Appreciated" to "Love is in the Air" to "My Sweet Friend," "Somebody Loves You," "Happy Valentine's Day." I know we're gearing up for Christmas and we're already got Valentine's coming. "You Make My Heart Soar," and "Sending You All the Hearts." I love every single one of these sentiments. I think they are phenomenal and just great to send cards at any time. I know that we all are needing a little pick-me-up so much of the time, just any time really, but this year's been hard for so many. So sentiments like "You Are Loved and Appreciated," and "To My Sweet Friend," and "Somebody Loves You," and "You Make My Heart Soar," and "Sending You All the Hearts," those work for any time of the year, you guys. And I love that, as well as this "You Are Loved" die. This is the big "You Are Loved" die. It's the latest in Mama Elephant's collection of big die cuts for their sentiments, which are phenomenal. I am going to ink this one, which I die cut from some 110-pound weight Neenah cardstock. I'm going to ink it with Tattered Rose and Festive Berries Distress Ink. So these two together, I'm going to blend them out. It's really not that much Tattered Rose by the time we're all said and done, but I did want it to have a bit of that ombre effect. And I wanted the sentiment to be bolder than the background. I want it to show up. I don't want it to blend into the background. Our background is that nice, soft, layered clouds and hearts. And then we're going to have the boldness of our balloons and the sentiment that stand out, but are still within that pink and red color combination. Then I've die cut the sentiment 2 more times from the white cardstock, and we're going to layer these one on top of another to give our sentiment a little bit more of a dimensional look, to have it pop out just a little bit more so that it really shows up against this background. I'm putting an acrylic block on top to help hold that flat while it dries, and we are going to stamp a little sentiment. Now, I opted to use "You Make My Heart Soar" for my card today, but it doesn't really fit within how I want to lay out my critters. So you can see I've laid them out how I want them to go, but there's not enough room for that strip. To do this, I'm going to do a little creative masking and turn one line of text into 2. This is one of my favorite things, and it really flows with the design of the card so much nicer. It's going to end up being right to the right of the little fox, which his balloon is going to actually cover up that heart O in the word loved, which already is super cute as is, but I really liked how the design of this image is going to be incorporated into our sentiment. But I masked off part of the text, stamped it with the Festive Berries ink, cleaned the stamp, moved it, masked off the first part, and stamped the rest, and that's how we achieved the sentiment. Then we're going to glue down our dimensional die cut greeting, and we're going to start adding our images. Now, the little individual heart balloon I'm going to glue directly to the card base, kind of right there with the greeting tucked underneath. Then we're going to add some foam adhesive under the fox part of the image and glue the heart directly over the die cut. Remember, the die cut is dimensional, so we put some foam adhesive under the body of the fox. We don't have to put any under the heart, and it's going to lay there perfectly. We're also going to pop up the rest of our critters with foam adhesive squares to give them a little dimension and help them pop off of a kind of busy background. Yes, it's tone on tone, but there's still quite a bit going on, and I always love a little foam adhesive here. We're going to glue these guys down, and then the final thing we're going to do is place this on our slimline card base and then add some little dimensional hearts. Hearts are one of my very favorite embellishments, and you could use the hearts that are included in this stamp set. You could stamp them, color them, die cut them, and add them to your card project. But where I have so much paper going on here, there's not any additional embellishing really. I love a little embellishment, whether it be some little clay hearts or sequins or whatever the case may be. We're going to use some little crystal clear ones, little kind of more like droplet ones in shades of peach and red and clear. The red and peach are from Honeybee Stamps, and the clear ones are from, I believe, Trinity Stamps, and those are linked below. I don't know if the other two are still available. They're just in my stash. They might be. But these are such great little ways, and I'm having them kind of follow the flow of the stenciled hearts, if you notice. And they just finish off this sweet up in the clouds love themed card perfectly. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this love themed layered stencil background card featuring Mama Elephant stamps and dies. The supplies I used to create my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Mama Elephant that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell to never miss a new card making video. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.